Hi everyone and welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. In this episode, we're jumping back in the kayaks. We're leaving the fast boats behind, jumping on Parramatta River with the guys from Action Fishing Tournaments. So this particular event was held on May 18 of 2024. It was a cold, wet, windy morning. We still got 50 guys down there, went out and had a crack. All right, let's roll the intros and I'll tell you all about it. Here we go.
Welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target bream on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite bream competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here's your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
All right. So this one, sorry, it's taken a little while to get this one out. I was just waiting on one particular interview, but I think it's a really cool show. Fortunately, I was able to get a top place or a second place, which means we've got a guest host coming on. I'm not going to tell you who that is, but you'll find out soon enough. Yeah, it was a great little round. I really enjoyed fishing this, even though the conditions were a little bit ordinary. However, a lot of fish were caught and we all had some fun and everyone went home happy. So let's roll through some of the stats for the comp and then we'll get into the angler interviews. So the major bite period was 6:32 through to 9:02. So right in the beginning of the day, the fish activity wheel said 38, so quite low. Low tide was at 10:52 at 0.36 with high tide at 5:28 p.m. at 1.21. So for me personally, I was able to jump on that end of the run out tide. And you'll hear that in the interview. And one more thing before we get into the interviews. So there's a couple of shows that I've got to come back to. So if you've ranked in the relevant competitions and you haven't heard from me, the invitation's coming. So please keep an eye out for that. And if you want to reach out beforehand, that's also great because it helps me out in a lot of ways. Anyway, let's get straight into the angler interviews with third place. Here we go. All right. So first up in third place, we have an angler dropping 3 fish for 37.5 and 32.5 and a 38.5, giving him a 108.5 centimeter bag. I have Jose Lopes. How are you, mate?
Not bad, Andrew. Thanks for having me, mate. I really appreciate.
Yeah, what a great result. You must be cheering.
Definitely, mate. It's been a little bit of hard work to get this kind of results on the home water. Yeah, really happy with the results.
Very good. Very good. All right, mate. So this is one of your local waterways. So you've had a bit of a chance to get out and have a pre-fish. Mate, is there anything you want to share with us on what you kind of learned on your pre-fish and in terms of getting ready for the competition?
Oh, definitely. Look, as my local water, I spent a little bit of time fishing around there. So I went and did 4 recons there, I think. I did it. One of the recons, myself and another mate, we went up to the middle lake, right on the front of the ferry wharf.
Oh, yeah.
Just go straight across is a Irala Bay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we get there. We just went right up to the bay, and it was a lot of action on prawn, flicking around this and that. And we have a great pre-fishing there.
Yeah.
So we leave that place alone. We come to some holes around. And we decide to try to get there on the comp day. And after that, I went another 2 times. After that, I went another 2 times. And no fishing on that bay. Just going to have a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the same action of the prawn around there. Really happy where I saw it. Move away from there.
Yeah.
I don't want to be...
You don't want to sting them.
No. I don't want to keep the fish away from the lures. So start with some boat holes. And we're a couple of boats, specific boats, producing pretty much the same size of fish.
Yeah.
Like normally do on the normal day fishing and on the pre-fishing, I got exactly the same size between the 30s, 35s.
Right.
really happy where I see, move away. Yeah, not far from the launching area.
Yeah.
I'll find the a right spot, and keep that for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go, just scan it through the fish finder. Yeah, 2 raccoons. I did it pretty much was more work it out in the fish finder.
Sure.
Yeah, and yeah, just really happy before the comp. I'm pretty confident where I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Solid plan.
Okay. Was there any specific lures you had tied on for the comp day?
For the comp day, yes, I'm started. I'm carrying 6 rods with me.
All right.
It's just to know waste time, retake leaders because I'm taking my time. And on the comp day, in such a short comp, you don't have much time to be wasting, tied up. So I got 2 rods in the soft plastics and 2 rods in the hard bodies. Specific for that environment where we're going. I've been preparing the past 4, so I have 2 crankbites, and I got 2 clone prawn, another 2 rods with 2 clone prawn on different whites. So 116 on the die jig heads and 120 different colors on the prawn. So it was jelly color and the green tiger prawn, pro lure.
Yep.
And it comes out at the end, that green tiger, it gave me the biggest bream, but that was at the end. Yeah. So I got it tied up on the crankers. I got a pro lure, shallow, or ultra shallow, sorry, on the black mat, and a deep on the black mat. Lure, but for them pro lure. And I got something else on the others. I could not remember. I think it's 140 in a crabby for the boys around the boat. It was one of the things in idea, but in the day of the comp was really windy. It cannot fish boats. The boat was completely out of the plan because the wind was really, really strong and we cannot hold it. So,
all right, let's move on to comp day. So, like you said, it was windy and a little bit of rain. Tell us how your day went, because you got a cracking bag. Tell us a little bit about how you went about catching your fish.
Well, my fish, I was stuck in that plan, and I have to paddle quick as I can to get to that buy.
Yeah.
So we get there. It was really like you see the action of the fish right at the end because the wind, it was maybe half of the buy and it was too windy.
Sure.
We did some action on the edges and start casting, nothing. First outer, I think on the first outer, I got 2 breams actually. One was 15 and a half on the shallow cranker.
Yeah.
I swapped for the deep and I got the 26 centimeter.
Okay.
Has a catch for a release. Every fish counts. So, yeah, take a picture. 2 fish. It's not a donut.
Not a donut.
We knew it. It's going to be a tough one. The wind going to pick up about halfway in the morning.
Yeah.
So now you keep everything how much you can. So it slows down again. Like when around 8:30, just move in the wind. The wind start picking up, nice and annoying, if I can say that. So it start moved a little bit down the bay, and where was a drop off, and at that drop off, in the past I've been seeing a lot of fish sitting on that drop off. So power pull down, and I cast the black mat, the pro lure deep, and the thing just went like I don't have time for nothing. Just hook up,
bang,
try to set the hooks, and everything gone. And what happened here? I was stuck. Like, yeah, no, that was a good fish. I was ready for.
Right.
So as I need a deep lure because I knew it. I need to get to that bass.
Sure.
I jump on the a lure I put on the box next to my feet on the kayak, and that comes a Fishcraft.
Okay.
Cream, the 38 on the Ghost bluegill.
Okay.
deep, and I cast the cast after that. I pick up a 37.5. I was happy. Like, I lost the lure, lost a big fish, and I pick up another fish. And I start counting. Oh yeah, I got my bag. I'm very happy that. And look, it's 79, but it's too small for where I normally get here. I know the weather conditions. I don't fishing. I don't fish like that in that weather conditions. So it's going to be tough. So I start move away from there, and better to go back and do another round.
Yeah.
So move from, I lift my power pole. I went down a little bit and I said, no, it's too early to lift from here. So I went back, another cast, 2 casts. On the 3rd cast, I got a 32.5.
Right.
And what I'm doing, I'm leaving fish to go and look for fish. It's not part of the plan. At the same time, in the meantime, I'm asking Jamie, or I might fishing with me. Had you go in there? Oh yeah, I got the bag. No huge, but I got the bag.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Look, I'm gonna go and try to do some boat holes.
Mm-hmm.
That was the plan. I'm gonna go across the channel and try to do something. And I'm with you, and we start moving because I have other plan in the back of my mind.
Okay.
To be honest. And so I need to start move so I can get there in time. And I went across to Kissing Point Bay.
Yeah.
It's at the end of that bay is like a workshop. So I'm like fixing the boats there.
Okay.
And have these steel rails coming into the water.
Yeah.
I've been pick up a lot of fish from that thing, like really good fish. But the wind, ferries, everything, like the water hitting the wall, like I could not fish because the water told me the kayak was to the wind. I cannot cast against the wind. How I need to cast. It was a little bit confused for me and very hard for me to deal with that. So I move away from there and I go for my plan. I'm going next to the launching area where I can get some right fish.
Yeah.
It was a seaweed patch right between the launching area and last boats on the moorings.
Sure.
I'm pedaling along. I need to get my kayak facing. I'm trying to work what I've been done in the past.
Yeah.
And I got a might come along. We start having a chat. Everything smooth.
Yeah.
I keep myself on the right, so make sure I get what I'm planning for, because I don't know if he may have the same plan.
Yeah.
For me, it was a secret, but you never know. So I line up my kayak. I put power pole down, the wind right on my back, and I pick up the rod. I got the clone prawn.
Okay.
So a Miller rod on the
XFLC.
Yes. Cast that prawn on the 120.
Yeah.
And soon as the lure hits the water, it was that bang.
Right.
And I could not hook up. I don't have any chance.
Right.
Or the line, because it was a little bit loose in the wind. When I feel it, it was too light. Like I could not set the hook.
Yeah.
And I retrieved the lure quick, get back, second cast after that, and I got in contact with a nice 38.5.
Yeah, very nice.
And it's like he grabbed it, he knew it was his lure, it was his food, but not. It was my hook.
Yeah.
And my line, and so it took to the left. The mite comes because he saw the hook up.
Yeah.
And I saw him coming with the wind on his back. It's not easy for him to control. And I stopped fight the fish to start steering the fish because it was too much wind. It was hard.
Yeah.
Hard. And I'm start steering that fish to my right side.
Yeah.
And when I started to the leader inside, because normally I was in that setup, I was 2-length leader.
Sure.
When I start get the FG not past the thing, it's close to me.
Yeah.
I steering under it, and I was happy. I'm telling you, when I got that fish on the net,
Yeah.
yes, I got it done. And so I measured up, and it turns up. My bag goes from 99 when I got there to 108.5.
Yeah, that was fantastic moment.
Just very happy. I couldn't hug myself because it was a little bit of the pressure at the start. But as a local, and you meet people through all these comps, and is your local. Make sure you do right, this and that.
No pressure, but a lot of pressure.
It definitely was. And when I turned up and at the end, it was amazing. I'm happy for myself. Okay, it's not first time. Like this one was a third place, but I got a first place in the past, and like it was completely different because here is different level.
Yes,
you got the people hobby fishing, like people like you on the hobby. Guys, so much knowledge, so much, and I come from nowhere and humbling around all these comps. Like I'm not doing bad, but I'm not doing that good too. And sometimes I retrieve myself back, like, no, they are too good. And I have the opportunity to prove to myself and advise everybody to do exactly the same I did. Just, forget what's around you. Do what you know. Do what you can. And wait for the end. Don't feel intimidated or just come. Enjoy these kind of competitions because this is amazing. It's amazing. Like such a small competition, and it changed people ideas about bream fishing. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. And mate, look, to come third, like these comps, they're now attracting sort of 50 people more or less. Coming third, that's a really good result. It's hard to get in the top 3. Even on your own waterway, it's hard.
Definitely it is, because when you go just do a social fishing, it's you and another 1 or 2 mates or yourself. But when you come to these events, you have to share exactly the same amount of water with another 50 or 100 people. And that's your cycle. It gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And really, do you know where you're going to do it? And yes, it's a big possibility for you to be up there. But if you just panic and stressing and, is someone over there? I got a good spot over there. Is someone over there? You start getting lost track. What you're doing is completely different. But one more time, every time, all the times, it's possible. You get something done. Not put yourself under pressure. I've been suffering a lot in that because I have to do this, I have to do that. You got the right stuff, you got everything lined up, but you put yourself under pressure. The best way to do it, just relax. It's just a day out. In a couple of hours, you're going to be fishing. It's amazing.
Very good, mate. Very good. All right, mate. That is a great rundown of the fishing. For the third place, what did you get to take home?
Oh, for the third place, if I'm not wrong, was $200.
Yeah, nice.
Cash.
Yep.
And that was about in 5 minutes. The announcement, the money was on the bank account.
The money's straight in.
Really, really awesome the way these 2 guys running this show, man. Like, really amazing the way they're organizing these events.
Yes.
Where it's amazing. It's amazing. A big shout out for that. Craig and Oric, man.
Yes.
Bloody awesome.
So good. All right, mate. Before we head off, mate, is there anyone else, and I know there is there anyone else you want to give a shout out to? Yeah, I think this is a bit of a special shout out.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's not a big shout out for the wife.
Yep.
Let me do all of these kind of things, adventures I'm doing. Yeah, definitely. For someone, I could charge him for be responsible.
Yeah.
For all this. It's going to be Andre Jones, straight from Portugal.
Straight from Portugal.
Yeah, him is the one introduced me to James.
Yeah.
Whatever at Hunters Water Sport.
Yep.
And to get his kayak, because when I find out he's coming to Australian Champions, where you come the man.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, I'm looking for a kayak. Yep, no worries. Getting in touch with this person, and since then, it's So for Andre Jones, muito obrigado por tudo o que informaste. Yeah, I'm pretty sure at some stage you're going to listen because we follow each other. So
you're going to send it to him. And look, I'll just for people that wouldn't understand, so when we did the Hobie Worlds back on the Gold Coast in 2019, we all got put up in tournament boats and then they sold them off. And one of the competitors was Andre Jones from Portugal, and you two guys know each other. So as it turns out, you ended up buying his kayak from James, and that's the one you fish out of now, if I'm not correct.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. He was that. Andre Jones is, people don't know, he's really good angler.
Very good angler.
He's amazing. All his work, and he got the opportunity to come to Australia and do that competition. And he was one of his neighbors. He actually is the one introduced me to him because he's going to Australia, but in Portugal, Europe, is small countries, right?
Yeah.
And them thinking when we talk about Australia, them thinking it's a small country like Portugal or Spain. Spain actually is a pretty big country. And I asked them where the comp is going to be because I was aware what's the go with the thing. And they, it's a Gold Coast. And I said, mate, it's pretty much like you drive from Portugal all the way to France, to Paris.
Right.
Serious?
Yeah.
Nice big distance. And okay. And since then, good. Is it? Good people, man. Good people. And I thank him for giving me the opportunity to buy his kayak. Still carry the flags. That's why I'm so easy to identify on the water. But I don't mind that.
Very good. All right, mate. I think we're going to leave it there. Look, thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we get to have another talk to you through sometime throughout the year.
No worries, mate. Thanks very much for having me, mate. Yeah, great work you put together. It's been helped us a lot. So thank you for your work, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Fishing.com.au, your one-stop brim lure and tackle shop. Pick up the latest tackle, including Muscle Vibes, Cranker Crabs, OSP Bent Minnows, Z-Man Plastics, Eco Gear Lures, and Daiwa Rods, Reels, and Tackle. Same-day shipping. Shop where the world champion, the Australian champion, and the current ABT champion shops. Fishing.com.au, online or in-store at shop 18/29 Kiora Road, Miranda. So I jumped on Adam's page again. The tackle kind of gets me going. Anyways, a few cool things happening. So the Daiwa Bait Junkie, I guess they were due for after, which has just been run now. The 2.35-inch prawns. These are a pretty cool looking little lure, and I think they're going to be awesome. So if you're interested in those, they're doing buy 3, get 1 free. So if you want to go through the range, get yourself a few colors, try them out. I don't think there's a better time. So buy 3, get the 4th one free. You can run through 4 different colors and see which ones works for you. In other lures, so the Outback Brimmer Baits Little Muscle so I grabbed a few of those. Unfortunately, I haven't had a throw yet, but that's coming. I did dong a few fish on the original Outback Brimmer Baits Muscle the other day. So that's very cool. And there's a few things that make me happy. The River to Sea Baby Vibe 10-pack in cockle. If you haven't thrown these, you got to have a crack at it. Get some straight through on your reel and have a throw and just see how you go, particularly in these winter months when things are a little bit harder. Not always, but sometimes, and fish a little bit slower. And I reckon you'll be surprised. These little lures catch big fish. And finally, now those who follow Steve Morgan, he has just changed out all his reels for Daiwa TD Blacks, and Adam's got him in store. So if you want one of those, get online, get that ordered, and off you go. Fishin.com.au.
Good day, everyone. It's Luke Kay here, stepping in as the guest host for the Bream Fishing Podcast. And I have a special guest with me here who caught some amazing fish with fish sizes of 35, 41, and 35 centimetres with a total of 111. Coming in with an equal length, but second place on Countback is none other than the great Andrew Deeth. Andrew, g'day.
How are you, Luke? Thanks for this, mate. Appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. Look, it's great to have a chat with you. I was just thinking about the history of this amazing fishery, Sydney Harbour, and we have to go back to probably 2010, I would think, when you won your first Bream comp on Sydney Harbour. Back in those days, we'd always say that if you caught sort of 1.8 kilos to 2 kilos of 3 fish, you're probably going to win a comp. Now, this comp was based on fish length, but your fish lengths of 35, 41 and 35 is well above 2 kilos. How fishing has changed, huh?
Definitely. The fish sizes have come up a lot in sort of we're now 2024, so nearly 15 years. And it's definitely changed quite a lot. And you're exactly right. And if you have 3 34-kers in your well, you won most comps back in those days.
What is it that's changed so much, do you think, that how guys have improved? Because, I mean, even if you got a bag back then, if you caught 3 and okay fish, you're probably in with a chance of a podium. What's changed?
I think it's got a lot to do with, I think it's just skill of the angler and technology. I think when I go back to those comps, early days, I might have caught 5 or 6 fish for the comp. Whereas now, in those sort of comps, anything under about 12 fish, I probably don't feel like I've had a good day. Whereas back then, if I got 2 bags, if I got 6 legals, I was pretty happy with it. So I think more fish, more skill, and just refined techniques and probably being aware of the areas, like having fished the areas before. Like when we talk about this, I'd fished the bays before, even though it's a few years ago.
Yeah, right. What about catch and release? Do you think catch and release and the practice of catch and release over the last, probably 20 years or so now, do you think that's had an impact?
I think it's definitely got to have had some impact. And in some of the systems, the nets went out around 2000, I think. So that's definitely had an impact on the fishing. And catch and release definitely being more popular, and catch and release of bream in particular, I think has helped the sizes.
Yeah, right. Well, let's get back to the success that you had during this competition. Pre-fish. Did you have a pre-fish at all?
No, I didn't get out for a pre-fish. As usual, I'm like always keen, but didn't quite get there. So it was the first time I've been on the harbour in a couple of years. Like quite a few years, probably 5 years.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough. What about a plan? Did you at least have a plan of attack?
I had a loose plan. I thought I should be able to get them on the boats. And there's heaps of there's boats everywhere. And I thought I should be able to get them on the boats. If not, I'm going to use the baby vibe and do bottom structure and that sort of stuff, even just around mooring blocks and that sort of thing. That was the plan.
Yeah, right. Okay. So, tell us all about it. Where did you go and why did you go there?
So I started, at first, it was a pretty rubbish day. Like the wind was blowing and I wanted to let the field clear a little bit. So I just went across to the bay opposite. I'm not sure which bay it is, and had a bit of a flick on the boats and thought, yep, I should be able to get some fish here. I scanned some fish on the way across. I did see some fish on the sounder and I put that in the memory banks for the end of the day. In any case, went across, hit the boats for a while without any success. Didn't get a touch, didn't even look like catching a bream. And then moving on from then, I went into, there's like a rocky shoreline, a man-made structure shoreline. And there was also a couple of drains running out. I thought I'm going to have a throw at that sort of area. And this was really early on. It was only 6:50ish. So we'd probably been on the water 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, okay. So this is the bay you're talking about here is the bay that would be downriver of Concord Bay. So I'm thinking it's probably Majors Bay you're talking about here. And there's a big monument on the, straight across from the start line, a big orange monument. Is that right? So
I actually crossed the river. So it was across in kind of the bay where Breakfast Point is. I'm not sure what the name of the bay is. It's not marked here.
Okay. And you bet you're fishing rock walls.
Yeah, man-made Yeah, just a rock wall. And like I said, with a couple of drains in it, which at that time, I think I'd just finished recording the Australian Open and talking to a couple of anglers who had got fish out of drains.
Interesting. Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Well, the weather was pretty gnarly. I remember that on that Saturday, must have been blowing like, I don't know, maybe I'm going to say like 25 knots at least. And it was rainy, it was cold, it was pretty miserable. But you managed to find some fishable areas and you caught some fish early. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, like early on, I threw it. It's been a while since we did this. And I think I was throwing a Kedich custom worm, so it's just like a stick bait style lure on, I've got a feeling it was on weedless. I could be wrong. But either way, throwing in tight to the structure. And I managed to pull 2 fish in about 4 or 5 minutes. Only small fish, like 20-something. In a measurement comp, they all count. So it was on the board. So it's always a good feeling.
Yeah, right. And were you fishing like light? Was it, how heavy were you fishing?
Yeah, I think I fished 4 pound for the day, 4 pound leader. So braid leader combinations on all of them.
Yep.
But 4 pound leader, I think the V hard.
Okay. Some guys like to, you were fishing plastics at this point in time. And like for me, I like to fish a braid leader combo. So definitely when I'm fishing plastics, probably wouldn't do it any other way. But then when it comes to the crankbaiting, there are a lot of guys that go straight through. What do you think are the advantages of doing that?
Well, there's a few things. If you go braid and leader, obviously you got a lot more feel. You can cast further, and you can, like, I think the line cuts down through the water, particularly if you're sinking a plastic or something. But if you go to a straight through, which I've experimented a lot with just in recent times, it's hard to deny that you get more hits on it, even if you can't feel them. Like it doesn't upset the fish as much having no braid. That would be my thoughts.
Yeah, we might need to get Steve Morgan on to talk about this because he certainly loves to fish straight through a lot, yeah?
Yeah, I know I've spoken to Steve quite a bit off air as well. And yeah, like he definitely says you got to fish them straight through. And I've done quite a bit of it in the last maybe 6 weeks. And I've had some great success, particularly with the baby vibe.
Oh, okay.
In canals. And yeah, it makes you wonder because it's hard to quantify whether you would have got the same fish if you fish braid leader all day. But then it's hard to deny that I've been catching a lot of fish.
Yeah, right. I guess you just got to test those things out. You've almost got to have the same lure on basically 2, very similar setups that maybe if you're fishing, say, 3 or 4 pounds straight through, but then you've also got, say, a 4 pound braid, either a 3 pound or 4 pound leader combo, same lure, and try and mimic exactly the same thing to see if your results are the same. That's pretty much what you've got to do in that scenario, right?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I think there's time for both of them, would be my thought.
Yeah, okay. So moving on, you got a couple of fish early in that bay and you sort of, sounds like you're heading downriver. You're on the, I guess you would say that the southern side or the southern side of the river, heading down towards the punt. And what was your move from there?
Okay, so the plan was to head down to Hen and Chicken Bay. Like I said, I really just wanted the field to disperse a little bit. There was 50 or so kayaks there. Let people move on. Anyway, I fished down all the way down to Hen and Chicken Bay. I fished various structure. I threw a couple of crabs. I threw some plastics without result until I got down right into Hen and Chicken Bay near the old Southern Bream Hobie kayak launch. I can't remember the name of the park there.
Bayview, I think.
Yeah, Bayview Park. So there's a point towards the main river opposite Bayview Park, and I pulled up there, I dropped the power pole, and I think I had a pro lure in matte black S36.
Mm-hmm.
And I was holed up on the point, lots of wind, and super long cast with the long rods, and I ended up pulling one of the 35s, one of the ones I weighed in.
Yeah, awesome.
Just randomly.
You mentioned long rods there. Now, I know because I've fished with you a couple of times, either whether it's been in a tournament or socially, you've been using long rods, and I'm sure you've talked about this before, but do you feel like even on a windy day as well, there is an advantage to having long rods, and what is that and how does it work?
Okay. One of the main advantages I like with them is just the long cast. Now, you just longer rods cast further. Now, even in the wind, I think on that day, like, don't get me wrong, my spool wasn't full, but I was having to stop the lure before it emptied the spool because I was just throw it up into the wind and launch it. So the advantage of that is more time in the water. Like a bream can follow it for 5-10 meters and it's not going to run into the kayak. You get away from yourself. The further away you are, the more relaxed the fish are, I think.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. Now, I don't know if you know this fact or not, but interestingly enough, of the top 5 for this particular competition, there were at least 3 people that fished hen and chicken bay, and that was the first place, Abz, the second place, yourself, and then I was 5th place, and I was in there as well. So it goes to show something about that fishery, a great fishery.
Yeah. When they used to run the Hobie comps out of there, we had Southern Brims and Hobies. Now, I won 2 events out of hen and chicken bay. So I won a Southern Brim and one, I think it was a Southern Brim round. I won cranking the way up the back of hen and chicken bay with little Rapala jointed lures and another really small crank. I can't think. Riggies, the 40 mil super shallow riggies from Zip Baits. So I was sort of alternating with those and won a round with roughly 30 forkers, 330 forkers.
Yeah, right. Interesting. So you've had some success in there, which I guess that gives you the confidence to know that the place fishes well. And if there's fish in there in summer, they're going to be there in winter as well, albeit maybe a little bit deeper. The fish that you caught, that you said you caught sort of at about 9 o'clock out in front of sort of Bayview Park there, was that fish, or like, were you fishing super, super slow, or were you fishing what sort of depth were you fishing and all that?
Okay. In that particular area, it was basically a point running out to deeper water. And I was bringing it from, just because of the wind and conditions, I was bringing it from the deeper water up into the shallows. And typically I don't do a slow roll all that much. I usually stop it and pause it and twitch it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a while ago, so I can't actually remember exactly, but I would tip that was what was going on.
Mm.
So yeah, but you can't pause it too much because I didn't want it to float to the top. But it's just, you just got to break the action of the lure, I think, to encourage that strike.
Had you weighted those lures? Had you added any sort of tungsten weight or anything like that?
I don't think on that day. I do that from time to time, and I do find it's a good option because you make your lure heavier, you cast it further, and you also slower to rise. So sometimes that's helpful.
Keeps it in their face a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm big on casting length, especially if you're fishing flats. You just want to get as far away as you can.
Yeah. So you got a 41 tip fish was the biggest fish that you caught. Now, it's a pretty good fish. I mean, most days of the week, a 41 tipper is going to go very close, if not right on a kilo, maybe just slightly above. Was that fish also caught on the Pro Lure, and was that caught in the same area?
A similar area. So I fished, after catching the previous fish, I fished around towards the mangroves around the corner from Bayview Park in that first bay to the left as you head out.
Mm-hmm.
For a few little fish, for fish smaller than what I'd had in the bag. And then I was paddling along, I was just scoping some new area, and I found a distinct step in the bottom structure. So there was like a line where it just dropped off about maybe, I'm guessing about 30 centimetres. I went, oh, that's interesting. And, put the power pole down and decided to just work that a little bit. And within a couple of casts with the Pro Lure, I cracked that 41, which went really, really hard.
Yeah, you would have been feeling pretty confident once you caught, you said now you've got a 35 that you've measured, you've got a 41. You would have started feeling pretty confident, that you're going to do well in this comp at this stage.
That's right. Well, based on the previous ones, okay, I'm in the running here. As soon as you get over that metre mark, you go, okay, I'm starting, except for the Hawkesbury comp, which has already been run. Aside from that, over 100 centimetres, you're starting to look okay.
Yeah, right, okay. And what did you do after that? So you caught a good fish there, and did you upgrade it all after that, or?
Yeah, so I had, I think, a 27 or something in the well on the thing, which I was trying to move on. And after that 41, I didn't get any more fish there. So it started to make my way back to the start.
Mm-hmm.
And as I come up around that point, which we spoke about before,
It's in Putney there.
Breakfast Point.
Mm.
So on Breakfast Point, now we had the river cats going upriver, and I think it was the river cats, and they were breaking waves all over that point. And I thought to myself, well, that's looking pretty good. And I threw a jackal in because I don't normally throw a lot of jackals. I think that's what I threw in. Perfect cast, in on the rocks, in amongst all the white water from the ferry wake, and jagged another fish, which was the last, I think, 35.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to pull you up there just for 1 second because you mentioned something that was really important. And I actually did have a pre-fish for this tournament, although it wasn't that good other than I caught a really good sort of mulloway that day. But something that I tried to do was whenever a ferry sort of came past like a structure of some sort, I'd try and go straight in there and fish it. So for those that may be a novice or that are sort of just getting into this tournament fishing or even just getting into lure fishing and brim fishing, there's definitely value in doing that. It reminds me a little bit of, I guess, if you go somewhere like Foster or somewhere like that where there's some good structure and the oyster boats start cranking up and then they're driving along past the oyster racks and things are getting all stirred up. There is some really good opportunities to be had during that time, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. And look, at this time of day, I could pull a photo up and have a look, but it's around about that 12 o'clock mark. So that this particular day it was overcast, so there's no sun. So the fish would be a little bit more comfortable being right on the edges with those ferries running past, and they throw a fair wake. Like it's not just a little ripple. Like it's like a wave.
Surf it.
Yeah. It's like wave breaking on the rocks. It's like fishing swell. So
you got to be careful it doesn't get too shallow, all right? If you go too shallow, you can end up flipping your kayak.
That's it. It happens. We won't mention any names. But yeah. So, but I do remember just putting the perfect cast in right on the edge of the shore and just bringing it out and loading up and getting another upgrade late in the day. I'm like, okay, now I'm looking okay. Now this is a good bag now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, one thing that I admire about you, Andrew, and is that you fish to the end. I know that you're consistent in that. And I think for a lot of guys, it can really be soul destroying when you've been fishing all day and it sort of gets to 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. You might not even have a fish or you've got a couple of small fish, but there is value in just keep casting. Don't stop casting until you got a canned your key tag in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The amount of comps I've come into and somebody's gone, oh, I just got a kegger out the front of the launch, like 200 meters from where we started. Like it happens, I wouldn't say regularly, but it definitely happens.
Yeah.
And you just never know when you never know when that big fish is going to come. Like it could be first cast, could be last cast.
Yeah, for sure.
You hear the guy, oh, I had one last cast and I got an upgrade, whether it's a kegger or whatever. But he upgraded when it's time to go. So
yeah, for sure. Something I didn't talk about earlier on, but did tides play a role at all in any of the success that you had that weekend? Did they play any role or?
Not so much. I think from memory, I didn't want to pedal against the tide, so I think we played that pretty well.
Yeah.
And because I hadn't pre-fished, it's fair to say that I wasn't on the pulse. I hadn't fished it for such a long time, but I thought in the back of my mind, if I go down to Hen and Chicken Bay, I can throw cranks or plastics and probably do okay. Like I should get my 3 fish. And one of the things you said before about, the fish getting bigger, I believe with a longer cast, whether it's 2 meters or 10 meters or 20 meters, I don't know how much more it is, you cover that much more water further away from your boat. I think that makes a difference to the fish. Like I think you get more fish.
These long rods you're talking about, they're like some of them are like 3 meters long. Is that right? Like a 10 foot?
Yeah, no, I can't remember. I can never remember the size. They're 9 and 9.6 or 9.6 and 10 foot. Like they're long rods, super long rods.
Where do you get them from?
I get them from Messiah Custom Rods out of Tasmania. So Scotto James makes them up.
Okay.
But he does a limited supply, because they're all totally custom. And like in terms of the build of these rods, they're absolutely exquisite, handmade, perfectly balanced rods. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough of those.
And what reels were you using, or what reels do you like to use? I mean, you might have talked about this before, but I guess for those that might be listening for the first time and hearing your podcast for the first time, what do you like to use on different rods and for different types of line and that sort of thing?
Yeah, okay. Well, at the moment I've got mostly Daiwas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on these custom rods, when he built the rods, he asked me what reel are you going to run on it so he could balance the rod for the reel.
Wow.
So on the shorter one, like I said, I can't remember, the 9 or 9.6, I've got a Caldia 2004, 2,500, whatever it is. And on the longer one, I think I've got the in-feet, same size, like 2.5 or, 2004. I can't remember. So, but they're balanced for the reel.
That's awesome to have someone that's thinking about that sort of stuff. It's so good. Now, Daiwa Caldia is sort of a middle-of-the-range reel. And look, it's a fantastic reel. And you don't have to spend fortune for those wanting to get into it or that are just getting into it that don't have heaps of gear. What a great reel to start off with. And there's even some other ones that, whether it's some of the other brands such as Shimano, that sort of thing, you can get some really good reels without having to spend more than $200.
That's right. And look, in the Daiwa range, you can get your $150 reel, the Excellers and or whatever they are. And I've got a couple of those, and they'll perform pretty much the same as the other reels. And the same for the Shimanos. Like, you can get the Sienna's the base model. If that's all you could afford, you could go and fish that and you'd be all right.
Yeah, that's how I started.
Yeah, me too. I started with Sienna's, and back then they were $50 a go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good. Well, seeing as we're talking about rods and reels, and one great thing about these tournaments that we do, there's often some really awesome prizes that get given out. Do you recall the prizes that you got for your second place in this tournament?
Yeah, it was cash in the account, like within about 10 minutes of doing it. So yeah, $350 for second place.
How good, not bad for a day's work.
Not too bad for a nice rainy day out, but we caught fish.
Yeah, that sort of like sweetens the deal, doesn't it? Because there's nothing worse than going out on one of those cold, miserable days and sometimes not even getting a bite or maybe a toad or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. No. So, yeah, it's pretty good going, and you get to catch up with a bunch of mates.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts about it, right? You see people that you don't necessarily see all the time, and you have a good conversation with, and I guess you're doing a bit of life with them, and it's really cool. I guess, just rounding this up, Andrew, there'd probably be some people that you would like to thank for that help you out along the way with your fishing. Who are those people?
Yeah, so mate, just a couple of, like Adam from fishin.com.au has been looking after me with gear for a long time. In his little shop, their little shoebox shop, he has got just about every bream lure that you could ever hope for.
Yeah.
And if you don't live near him, like, he's the type of guy that'll get the stuff mailed out super fast. So in terms of service, I don't think there's anyone quicker in the country. So yeah, he's been helping me out for a long time with all my gear.
That's awesome.
And what have you. And then in terms of my kayak's maintained by Totally Immersed Water Sports out of Huskisson. So they're now the Hobie franchise down, the Hobie dealer down there. And yeah, likewise, they set me up. So in the brand new Hobie, a 1260 XR, so the new one.
Awesome.
Mate, and the new kayak is just awesome. So I'm loving the 360 and what you can do with it on the water, particularly like places like Sydney Harbour or your fishing structure. You don't get much better than that sort of kayak. It's sort of the ultimate in kayak fishing and manoeuvrability.
Oh, it's so good. I haven't been on one actually, but as a matter of interest, can you tell us, like, because I mean the guys are listening here now that have used them or do use them, but the 360, do they sort of like just turn on the spot pretty much, or?
You can. Yeah, you can turn those things because they thrust from where your feet are. You can turn that just 90 degrees and it'll push from there. And then with a little bit of rudder manipulation as well, you can pretty much just spin on the spot.
I think I need a pay rise.
You do need a pay rise. I'll loan you one. I've got two at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, you might not get it back.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hey, look, Andrew, I just want to, I feel really privileged having the opportunity to have a chat with you. And, I'm grateful for the time that we get to spend doing this. So, look, thanks for the chat and thanks for being really open about what you share with everybody. It's a great forum for people to learn, for people who are either starting off as a novice or you're a really proficient angler. There's so much to take away. So, mate, thanks heaps.
Mate, absolutely, Luke. And look, thank you for coming on and conducting the interview. You've done a great job, and I look forward to listening back to it to see what I said, because I can't remember already.
Cool. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. All right. If you're in the market for a new fishing kayak or looking to make some upgrades to existing kayaks or possibly looking at fishing kayak fishing tournaments, then HWS is the place to go. Have a full range of Hobie kayaks, stock the latest kayak accessories, and are really dialed in when it comes to the best kayak fishing setup for the casual fisher and the tournament angler. hws.com.au, online or in store at Shop 3/638 Pacific Highway, Belmont. Free delivery on Hobie kayaks across all Greater Sydney, Central Coast and Hunter. So and if you're outside those areas, give James a call and see what he will do for you. Now, if you're looking to get in at an entry-level point, they've got Hobie passports on sale. So these were originally at $2,900 for the 12, and they're just under $2,000 now, and $2,600 for the 10.5, and also under $2,000. So you can't get better than that for an entry-level kayak for someone who hasn't, maybe hasn't got $4,000 or $5,000 to buy a kayak. This will get you in there at half that cost, and they're a great little unit. Yeah, definitely check those out. The Hobie links. Now, I did see James had one secondhand one on socials last week, and it was there earlier this week. So maybe it'll be there by the time this comes out. If not, yeah, definitely consider a brand new links. They're just an awesome kayak, and I'm seeing more and more people jumping out of the heavier kayaks and using these. So it depends on what you're looking for, but definitely a great platform to fish off and well worth looking at. Okay, so coming in first place, dropping 3 fish for 43.5 centimetres, 28.5 and 39, giving him 111 centimetres also. Returning to the Bream Fishing Project, I have Abz Meshlawi. How are you, mate?
I'm doing well, Andrew. How you going?
I'm going all right, mate. Mate, you got me on countback. What's going on?
Mate, I did not expect it at all, honestly, especially coming back in a couple of hours early. I thought someone had it in the bag for sure.
Mate, it's a good result, and it's proving to be that around that, if you're over that 110 centimetres, you're going to be right up there. Like often 103, 105 is going to put you pretty close.
Yeah, getting anything over 100's a good score for myself, that is. I didn't expect to even get a 40 centimetre fish during a tournament.
Mate, it's a great fish. 43.5 is just a cracking fish. You must be pretty chuffed.
Oh, especially for my first fish.
All right. We're going to hold that. Now, what I do want to mention before we get into the interview is, mate, you have a cracking YouTube channel, a Finesse Angler. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, look, I've been doing it for a few months now. I just thought I'd get out of my comfort zone and start recording. Why not? If I'm out every single weekend, I may as well record my progress, and that way I can go back on my videos and have a look at what I've done wrong, what I've done right, and I can replicate it and learn from my mistakes, and at the same time teach people who are just getting into it, or some people on the same level or even better also enjoy watching videos. So yeah, just all about the entertainment, I guess.
Exactly, mate. It's a great little channel. One of the ones I liked was the one where the shark jumped out of the water up in the Hawkesbury, I think.
Yeah, I think that was on in Cowang Creek. I'm pretty sure the one you see in the video was a ray breaching out of the water, although I did see a couple of fins zoom past me that weren't caught on camera. So it's a bit of a controversial one, They call it clickbaiting.
There you go. Very good. All right, mate, let's get into this competition. So leading up to the comp, so we're back on the 18th of May. Did you get a chance to get out and have a pre-fish, have a look around?
Yeah, I did. I actually spent a bit of time the past few weekends before the comp getting out and trying to learn the area. I did get caught up at a few spots because I was catching fish, so I didn't get to do much exploring, although I did find a couple of spots that I did return to during the comp. And pre-fish was actually great. In 3 sessions, I landed 3 fish over 40 centimetres, which to my surprise, it doesn't happen often. And yeah, my main reason to get out was to identify what the systems were doing during the transition period from summer to winter.
Sure. And did you find any lures or any common structures that kind of helped you on your way?
Yes. See, I specifically targeted pylons to begin with during the pre-fish, and I used the muss and I used the cranker crab religiously, and both of them did exceptionally well.
Okay, very nice. Okay, let's talk about the muss. Which one are you using? What are you liking?
Just the standard one, the standard black original. I'm not sure of the exact weight, but I think from memory it was around that 5 grams, maybe just under that 5 grams.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, let's roll through into comp day. Now, as you remember, it was a weather-wise, it wasn't the greatest day. We had a bit of a southerly blowing, and yeah, tell us about your day and how you went about catching fish.
Yeah, well, my day started, I like to be early to the comps to find some parking. I got there a couple of hours early and the weather was shocking from when I got there. So a lot of wind and it started to rain as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, an hour and a half later, the wind started to die down. So I thought maybe that's a good sign for a better day, as the weatherman usually gets it wrong.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but upon launch, the weather did kick up a bit. The wind started to rise and I had a plan in mind. And unfortunately, I didn't follow that plan, which I was beating myself up for it until I caught my first fish.
Right. Okay. So what did you do first up then? You must have taken a while to get the first one, I take it.
Yeah, it took me approximately an hour to get my first fish.
Right.
I pedaled downstream towards Hen and Chicken Bay, and that was my original plan, was to head into Hen and Chicken Bay and do a bit of the flats there before I come back out and target some structure.
Sure.
As you know, the tide was, I'm pretty sure it was running out. So the high tide was at about maybe 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so my original plan was to head out to the flats and maybe see if I can find some fish on the flats. But yeah, as I was heading through towards the flats, I saw some structure on my right-hand side and couldn't resist. Threw in a couple of musses there and I couldn't get the muss to float correctly besides the structure, besides the pylons. So I thought to myself, I'll move on and I'll find another spot to fish. So that's what I did. I moved into Hen and Chicken Bay and there was a bit of structure there on the right-hand side again. And yeah, first cast in there and I landed that 43.5 and it put up a great battle.
Right. Okay. So tell us, what did you throw in there to get that?
I threw a cranker crab and I actually went into just the outskirts of there's a small marina there, just the outskirts. You've got a bit of a board that runs down the pontoon. So you've got the actual pontoon, but this one's made out of some sort of metal material. So I threw the crab and it made a loud bang, which I thought to myself, there's no way I'm going to catch a bream after making that much noise. Yeah, to my surprise, that crab hit the metal structure and it flooded down and got hit instantly. And this thing put up a great fight.
Right. That's a cracking fish for your first fish. Yeah, 43.5.
Yep.
You must have been thinking, right, we've got a comp on now.
I was in two minds, Andrew. Look, it took me an hour to catch that fish. So I was like, it's either I'm going to get my bag and get a good bag or the latter. I'm going to struggle getting my bag and that 43.5 is going to go to waste. But obviously, I put my all in and tried to get a good bag together.
Sure. All right. So the next one you moved on to, you got a 28.5. So how'd you go about getting that one? How long did it take?
So I went around the corner there in front of, there's a boat ramp there in Hen and Chicken Bay. I think it's called Bayview.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, the big boat ramp.
Yeah, correct. So across from Bayview boat ramp, there's mangroves there and there's a flat that runs across. So I fished this one prior during the pre-fish and I thought to myself, you know what, I'll go there and try to just fill my bag. So I've got a bit of a theory. I'm not sure if it's, the right way to think or not, but during winter and the colder months, I think to myself that maybe the bream might go into the shallows to get a bit of sun and warm themselves up. So I thought to myself, you know what, I'll head to the flats and I'll give it a good half an hour, see if I can fill my bag. And not even second or third cast in on the flats, I got myself an 18 centimetre fish.
Okay. Yeah. So that one, took a photo.
Took a photo, yeah. I couldn't risk it, mate, especially with the weather conditions and not knowing if I was going to catch any more fish. So
absolutely.
Took a photo and I've got to say that the power pole helped me tremendously in those conditions on the flats.
Yeah.
If I did not have a power pole, I would not be able to fish that flat at all. There's no way.
Yeah, right. Very good. So you use that to stop and fish or just stop while you manage dealing with the fish? How'd that look?
So I power poled down when I saw a potential spot that I could catch fish from. I saw a bit of a corner that was hidden from the wind. So I thought to myself, you know what, there's a bit of a water change there. So what I'll do is I'll have a couple of casts. I had a cast before I put the power pole down and my lure got hit.
Okay.
So I thought to myself, yep, power pole down and I'm targeting that area. So that's what I did. I put up that 18 centimetre fish and not even a cast or two later, I put up that 28 or 28 and a half.
Ah, very good. Okay, so you got a full bag.
Yeah, so I got my bag there and I was quite happy, and I had a lot of things running through my mind, Andrew, thinking to myself, I've got a 43 and a half and I really got to upgrade the 28 and a half and the 18.
Yeah, 100%. And what on the flats, what were you throwing then?
I was throwing the Daiwa in feet, what do you call it, the rolling crank in the MR.
Okay, so just a little guy.
Yeah, just a little one, and that was bouncing off the bottom, so there was only, I would say, a couple of feet max of water there.
Okay. Any particular colour?
I can't really remember the exact name of the colour, but it's a goldy colour.
Okay. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it's more of a natural colour with a bit of gold running through it.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. So what time is it now? You've got 3 fish in the bag. What time do you reckon it is?
I'm pretty sure it was about that 8:30 a.m. mark.
Oh, so still early.
Yeah, so it was still quite early, but I felt like it was late for some reason. I was stressing out. I was about to pull out my hair.
Very good. Very good. All right. So you must have got some more fish. So tell us about, you got at least one more. How'd you go about getting the last one?
Yeah, I did get one more. So I had a plan and I didn't quite get to that spot that I planned. So I planned to get to those pontoons that were on the main stretch heading back towards the boat ramp. And on the way to the pontoon, I stopped past the main marina there and had a couple of casts, but it was just way too rough. Yeah, around the corner there, you see all those pylons that hold up the main structure to the shop for the marina. I think it's the office there. Yeah, I had a cast there with a Daiwa Bait Junkie Risky Critter on a 1/16th head. So just threw it right in there amongst all that gnarly structure and instantly got hit.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so 39. So that's just under a kilo. That must have given you a good run for your money.
Honestly, I thought it would have went a lot harder, and I'm not sure if it's where I hooked it in the mouth. So it was hooked in the top of the mouth.
Okay.
And it did not put much of a fight at all. So I wasn't expecting the fish to be that big.
Yeah, right. That's what I said, like 36. He may not be a kilo, but be very close. So
Yeah. So it was a 39 tipper, and I had a bit of a bystander watching and cheering me on as well.
how good's that?
Yeah, so I let him know that, he brought the luck, and if he wants to stay around and watch me, he's more than welcome.
Absolutely. Yeah, you were right. It was a 39. Sorry, I usually convert it back to fork to get a weight.
Yeah, so, I figured. Yeah.
Very good, mate. Oh, that's awesome. And then on the way back, obviously, you're still trying to get rid of that 28.5. So you must have still fished pretty hard.
I didn't fish as hard as I wanted to. I went across the river to where I was telling you about those pontoons. I had a couple of casts and the wind was just getting in the way. So there was a bay on the right-hand side. I ended up going inside the bay and trying to fish the boat holes there and didn't have no success at all. I was just getting pushed around. So I thought to myself, you know what? I've got a good bag, and if I get top 10, then I'll be happy with that. And I started slowly heading back to the boat ramp, and I had a few casts in between, bumped into a few anglers, had a chat. But yeah, I didn't really catch anything from there to the boat ramp, and stuck outside the boat ramp with Jose, where he caught his biggest fish of the day. And yeah, I watched the whole fight. That was awesome.
How good is that? Yeah, no, he did really well.
Yeah, he did really well. And I pretty much docked in a couple of hours early.
Okay, well, there you go. All right, mate, I think that's a pretty good rundown of your fishing, excluding your tackle. Sort of what lines and leaders and what were you using on the day?
Yeah, look, there's one more thing I'd like to add. I used a lot of scent on my lures, which I think was the factor of catching fish or not on that day. I really think it made a huge difference on what I was doing. So I put some of the sack scent in bloodworm on my lures and I really smothered it on there. So I think that really did make a difference.
Yeah. No, I believe you. Sometimes the sack scent's been really good for me.
Yeah, it's been doing some damage, that's for sure. So rods, reels, leaders. Okay, so for the cranker crab, I run a in-feet Z in the 732 LFS.
Yep, nice.
Yeah, that's matched with a Revelry in the 2500S shallow spool, I'm pretty sure, and I run the P0.6 in the expedition line.
Sure.
So I found that a great combo for my cranker crabs and occasionally mussels as well.
Yeah.
On the flats, I like to run the 722, which is the Infeed SK, the 722 LRS, which is the regular tapered rod.
Yep.
I'm running that one with a Daiwa Airity.
Okay.
2000 size as well, shallow spool. And yeah, I was running it with that crankbait.
Right. Very good.
And in terms of leaders, I was running 5 pound on the flats, which is the Daiwa X-Link, I'm pretty sure, in the fluorocarbon.
Yeah.
And 6 pound within the structure.
Okay. So that's still pretty light given some of the gnarly structure there.
It is. But I've gotten myself used to it in the past. So I usually stick with that 5 pound, as I've said on the previous podcast. But yeah, that 6 pound just gives me that edge to put a bit more hurt on the fish.
Fair enough. All right. So was there anything else, or does that cover it all?
That pretty much covers it all, yeah.
Very good. All right, mate. So you ended up in first place. You got me, like we said, we got me on count back, and that means that our bags were equal, but you had the single biggest fish. So, mate, congratulations to that. I was pretty happy to see you get a good result.
Thanks, Andrew. I didn't expect to be back on the podcast after a couple of tournaments, that's for sure.
Mate, you're going to be one to watch, mate. Anyway, mate, what'd you get to take home for the comp?
For the biggest brim, I got to take home $100 prize money, and for overall coming first, I think it was $600. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't have it in front of me, but not too bad for a day out in the water. A bit of a rainy day, but still a pretty good day.
Yeah, that's for sure. Helped me pay a couple of bills, that's for sure.
Very good. All right. And look, one last thing before we head off. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, or just say thank you to?
Yeah, definitely. There's a few people. Obviously, the family for supporting me for everything I do. And yeah, we got Adam from fishing.com.au, always throwing good words out there of encouragement, always, watching my videos and giving me feedback and stuff. So always got to thank Adam and his quick service as well. Just anytime you need anything from him, it's on your door the next day, which is great. And also James from HWS, he's helped me out with a power pole and a couple of things that helped me get on the water and catch more fish. Like I mentioned earlier, that without the power pole, I would have found it hard to complete my bag on the flats. And yeah, in that heavy wind, the power pole came in trumps, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And two of the sponsors of the show, so we appreciate those guys.
Yeah.
And appreciate you using them. How good's that?
They're both great guys, mate. And there's a lot of other people that, I haven't mentioned that helped me along the way, which, I'm pretty sure they know that what they're doing is the right thing towards people who are getting into the bream fishing scene.
Yeah, very good. Very good. And once again, for anyone that wants to check out your YouTube channel, they can find you where?
The Finesse Angler on YouTube and Instagram is my main two platforms that I do run.
Fantastic, mate. All right, mate. Congratulations again. Thanks for coming back on the show. And, mate, I'm sure we're going to get a chance to chat in the last couple of rounds, hopefully.
Let's hope so, mate. Thanks for having me on, Andrew.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So there you have it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. Special thanks to Luke Kay for coming on and interviewing me, which I enjoyed the conversation. It's quite different to be, I guess, on the other side. And Luke was great to have a talk to both before and during the interview. The other thing that I did like about this particular comp was the top 5. So Luke Kay in 5th place, Jason Reed in 4th place, Jose Lopes in 3rd place, and then myself in 2nd, and then Abz Meshlawi in 1st, the Finesse Angler. For those of you who don't know, you can see Abz's YouTube channel on YouTube, and yeah, look up the Finesse Angler and you can see a lot about how he goes about catching his fish. Definitely making some waves in that department and giving out some great information on his show. Now, I can't remember whether I said this in the intros, but there's a few shows that I haven't got to and I haven't done interviews for. So if you're in that, you've got to rank a podium and you're expecting a phone call or a message and I haven't done it, I'm getting to them. And if you feel like reaching out, please feel free to do that and we'll get those interviews recorded and the shows off and running. A special thanks to all the guys who reached out over the last 6 to 8 weeks. It's been very cool to get some support. And also I've had a few messages in the last week and a phone call about guys enjoying the show. So that's always helpful to hear good feedback. So I appreciate that. I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. We've got more coming up next week on the Bream Fishing Project. I will talk to you then.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.